There's a guy, he's the father of my little brother, and he's trying to kill my mom. He has a gun.
On the bridge at the river on Kelly.
Some people should have never been allowed to have kids, as they become some of the most abusive, downright evil parents, and it shows. However, karma always finds a way, as today we'll be going through some of the most shocking cases where kids sent their own parents to jail. On June 18, 2023, a 12-year-old made a chilling 911 call, desperately pleading for help as his mother was in danger. The horrifying truth behind his call will leave you speechless.
911. It's an emergency. He has a gun.
I'm sorry, what's going on?
There's a guy, he's the father of my little brother, and he's trying to kill my mom. He has a gun.
Okay. How old are you?
Not fast.
Wait,
I'm slow.
Okay. We have everyone on the way. Is this guy inside or outside?
He's outside and he has my mom.
Which way did they go? ¿Español? ¿A dónde fue? Está aquí, pero se llevó a la muchacha. ¿Llevó a dirección? ¿A dirección al sur? Sí.
She doesn't. Control Air 101, heard of traffic. Got the suspect out of the vehicle dragging the victim. They're at a roadblock on the bridge at the river on Kelly. Get somebody here, code 3.
The woman was held outside her own home while the guy had a gun in his hand while her terrified 12-year-old son desperately called for help.
Suspect's got his hands up, and victim is walking to deputies now. They got the suspect on his knees, and they have the victim.
Señor, levántate, con tus manos arriba.
Call the suspect back now.
Get on your knees. On your knees.
The suspect believed that he was in charge until the police showed up. He swiftly let go of the woman and gave up after realizing that he was outmatched. He was then taken into custody to face the consequences of his actions. Now that was a terrifying situation, but wait until you hear what these next kids had to endure.
They were crying, and then and all the doors were unlocked. And we are giving you a citation for child endangerment, okay?
On February 4th, 2025, officers arrived at the scene after a witness reported 2 children locked inside a car. As soon as the officers got to the scene, they started interrogating.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I've been out here probably 5 minutes, and someone came in and told us, so I'm estimating it's been at least 10 minutes. I don't know how old this little girl is, and then you got the baby there.
If they talk to you?
What's that?
If they talk to you?
No, I didn't want to scare them.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so I was just standing by, making sure they were okay, but I had a customer come in concerned. They're sitting in their back.
You can't leave your kids in the car by themselves like that.
Well, they were sleeping, and I just wanted to get in there and ready to their dinner. What's wrong with it?
Yeah, they were crying, and then and all the doors were unlocked.
Anybody can walk up, jump in the car, and take off and leave.
Do you have your driver's license on you?
Yes, I did.
The officers waited patiently. Finally, a few minutes later, the mom came back, but the situation was far from over.
Please sit back there.
Yeah, they were crying. I'm like, I gotta calm my babies down.
Okay. Here's your license.
Thank you.
And we are giving you a citation for child endangerment, okay? And you do have a court date. It's going to be on the 26th of February at 9 a.m., okay?
Okay.
All right.
Let's leave that first street. So let me put you this way. When we get calls of dogs being left in their hot summer car or whatever, we write the people a ticket for animal cruelty. These are little human beings, right? You take a little more care of them than our own pets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying this will make you a bad mother or anything like that.
It's feelings.
But
Okay.
you got a 1-year-old that needs you. You can't leave it in the car like that.
Yeah, I know. She was sleeping. But I just did not know the doors
Someone
were
could have smashed your
unlocked.
car, right?
No, you're right.
Someone could have taken your kids, you know what I mean? But also, I mean, you know,
You're
like
right.
a terrible
Thank you.
person or whatever.
No, I am not. I promise
The
you.
other option to that would have been actually taking you to jail.
Michael Davis made a reckless decision that put her own children in danger. She was then given a citation for child endangerment.
I know. I saw
Somebody coming to get your, kids.
I know. I appreciate it, though. Thank you. Thank you for
We're good.
giving me grace. I promise I'm not a bad.
If you have any questions, just should be a phone number on the back, I believe. Okay. Call that.
Make sure you shut the door. You got a phone number?
Yeah, let me get a phone number for
Though both kids were safe, the suspects' reckless actions could have led to a far worse outcome. Getting arrested by your own child is pretty humiliating, and this next father had it coming in the worst way possible.
Who asked you to spy on someone?
My dad.
And who did your dad ask you to spy on?
My mom. They were listening to music and laying there together.
On May 17th, 2020, Zachariah Anderson let his jealousy take over and thought that he could get away with the murder of his ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend, Rosalio Gutierrez. But now he is on trial.
Back in the time period of April 24th of 2020, were you asked by anyone to spy on anyone else? During that time period, were you asked by anyone to spy on anybody else?
Yes.
Who asked you to spy on someone?
My dad.
And who did your dad ask you to spy on?
My mom.
And did you follow through on that in some ways?
Correct.
And so what sort of ways did you spy on your mom because your dad had requested it? Give me examples of ways you spied on her.
I was given a G6 Moto for my phone, and I was instructed to record every single time that my mother would get upset.
Anderson went as far as to drag his 11-year-old daughter into his twisted obsession, using her to spy on his ex.
Who instructed you to do that?
My father.
And when you say record, you were using the phone to do that?
Correct.
And then after you made those recordings, did you provide them to anyone?
What do you mean?
Did you give them to anyone somehow?
Like, my mother found my phone and took it, if that's what you mean.
Did you transfer them to anyone or hand them over to anybody as well?
Well, when she found it, I had to give her my phone, but other than that, no.
Okay. So, if the defendant's computer has some recordings that it appears you have made, do you know how he has those in terms of recordings of you and you recording using a recording device?
I'm going to object as far as speculation.
What his daughter revealed next will probably shock you to the core.
Where, if anywhere, did you go other than the Mequon house in the hours of April 24th in the evening through the morning of April 25th?
My mom's house.
And how did you get there?
My dad drove me.
And other than you and your dad, who else went?
Nobody.
Okay. So you indicated that your 4-year-old brothers were on this visit. Where were they when you and your dad went to this other location?
Upstairs at the Mequon house sleeping.
They remained there?
Yes.
Okay. And where did your dad and you go?
To my mom's house.
And where was your mom living at the time?
In Germantown.
And about how far a drive was that, if you know?
15-20 minutes, not too bad.
Leaving his 2- and 4-year-old sons home alone at night was reckless enough, but taking his 12-year-old daughter to spy on her mother, it's beyond disturbing.
We arrived at the house, and we pulled into the parking, our driveway, of course, and he said to me, "No, we're not going to park here," and he backed out. And then he went into the bar parking lot, and there's ones that are in the back and they're closest to the house, and he gets out.
When you say he, who do you mean?
Zachariah Anderson.
Then what happened?
He jumps onto the porch and looks through my mom's window with a camera.
Let me stop you. When you said jumps onto the porch, of what location?
My mom's.
And when you said he, who did you mean jumped on the porch?
Zachariah Anderson.
Then what happened?
And then he is looking through the window, recording with not a camera, like a phone recorder, but a handheld recorder.
Okay. Then what happened next?
Comes down eventually after a little bit, puts another phone into the air conditioner.
Okay, stop. Let me stop you. The air conditioner is located where?
on the side of the house that I was on.
Anderson's obsession crossed the line. He planted a listening device in a vent and even had his daughter spy through the windows.
The air conditioner is connected to what room of the house, if you know?
My mom's room.
Okay. And when you say puts it in the air conditioner, tell me more what you mean by that.
There was like an opening, so coming out from looking on the outside of the house, there was the air conditioner coming out and there was like a space around it. And it had insulation in there, like cushioning insulation, and the phone was put back far enough to see if there could be a recording of something.
And could you see that from where you were located?
Yes.
Okay. And where were you located when that was happening? When your dad was placing a phone recording device in the ventilation there?
I was sitting in the car.
Then what happened next?
And then he came to the car and asked me if I would like to see it, and I said yeah.
Okay. Who's he?
My dad.
Okay.
The way that he is staring at her, hardly blinking, that alone speaks volume.
I said sure.
Okay.
And I went up with him, and we went to the window. We walked around the balcony this time, and we went up the stairs and we went to the window. And he looks at me and he says, before you do anything, go like this with your shirt to make sure that you don't get the breath marks on the window.
So I'd just like to have the record reflect that the witness, Your Honor, pulled their shirt up, blocking their ability to sort of breathe on objects, covering their nose and mouth.
Her, yes.
Okay. So then after you were advised of that by the defendant, what's the next thing that happened?
I saw I don't know how to refer to him.
Whatever you're comfortable.
Mr. Gutierrez, I guess.
Okay.
And I saw him sitting on the couch with my mother coming out of the bathroom.
It's heartbreaking to see a young girl endure such cruelty. Forcing his own daughter into this nightmare reveals the suspect's sick obsession. His actions go beyond evil.
They were listening to music and laying there together.
And doing what together?
Just laying there on the couch.
Okay. So what room are you looking into from where your vantage point is?
The living room. There was a space in between the curtains.
Okay. And what window of your mom's place are you looking through to be able to see into the living room?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you're on the outside, correct?
Correct.
So which window? Is it a window that goes into the kitchen? Is it a window that looks directly in the living room? So what?
It's a window that looks directly in the living room.
Okay. And where is the defendant during that period of time?
Standing next to me. Okay.
And after you look in and see that, what is the next thing that happens?
We leave.
But this doesn't just end there. The story takes an even darker turn, raising more concerns about the suspect's actions.
What does the defendant do next after he does those three things?
Comes back to the car with the phone.
All right. And then what happens?
Plays the phone.
Okay.
Of course, plays a recording on our way home.
Okay. And what, if anything, can you say about what you could hear on that phone recording?
Nothing.
Okay. So where do you guys go next?
Back to my dad's house.
Okay. When you get back, what happens next?
I walk in. He tells me to get some sleep. I then was sitting downstairs and thinking about what just happened, because I was a little like, did I really just see what I saw? What I just witnessed?
The suspect even made a plan, using his own daughter as a pawn, just to make the mother look guilty in front of the police. Let's hear what his plan was all along.
Plan was for my dad to drive me and my little brothers to the house, and then...
To whose house?
My mom's house.
Okay.
And then he would put the boys to bed, and he would drive all the way back to his house, call the cops from there, and say, my daughter just called me, and I would have to call my mom but not make it ring. So I had to call her, but the phone wouldn't be able to ring. It just had to ring on my phone to prove that it was that her phone was called. Only on my end, though. So it would show that I had called her several times and she didn't answer. This would have been a day where I would have been at my dad's house and my mom would be out.
Okay.
And the plan was basically to call the cops and say how my mom abandoned us.
All right.
And how I had to call.
On May 16th, 2020, just one day before Gutierrez vanished, Anderson's daughter recalled him driving her and her siblings in his work van.
Do you remember any items that your father, that the defendant also put in the van?
Just a chainsaw.
Okay. And so was that in the van as well?
When?
When you went there?
Yes.
Okay. So about, if you know, approximately how long were you at the tree farm? About?
4 hours.
Okay. And during the time you were there, did you, what if anything did the defendant borrow from anybody else?
Just my grandfather's boots.
Okay. Are those work boots?
Yes.
Okay. And ultimately, where were those work boots when you guys left the tree farm?
I don't remember.
Okay. Did you tell law enforcement at some point that the boots were brought home with you guys in the van?
Most definitely.
Okay.
She later revealed that Anderson allegedly spoke about Gutierrez with hatred, even using racial slurs.
Time period of mid-May of 2020. What, if anything, can you say about whether your father was discussing a boyfriend of your mom's?
Yes.
Okay, so when you saw the defendant, how often during that time period? So let's start from like March of 2020 until this tree farm visit. How often when you saw him would he discuss with you your mom's boyfriend or this person that might be your mom's boyfriend? How often?
Pretty frequently.
And what did he call this new person in your mom's life?
Yes, there were, but it would be disrespectful for me to say them in this courtroom in front of his mother.
So I'm asking that you say the names. So what if any names do you recall specifically? Thank you for telling us that. But
The most chilling part? As she exposed his words, Anderson didn't flinch. He just sat there with a smirk on his face.
Did he say, if he did he explain to you why he was calling Rosalio Gutierrez, or this person, the new boyfriend of your mom's, Booger?
Well, of course, the first one is because of,
I'm asking about Booger.
Well, when he looked through the window at my mom's house on the morning of my birthday, he saw him apparently pick his nose and wipe it on my mother's couch. And so it was a thing for a while that we wouldn't sit on the couch. It was really just, it was a very odd situation, I guess. I don't know how to explain it.
And after that time, how often was the name Booger, did it come from from the defendant's mouth talking to you?
It was used in a joking manner if he was joking around about it, but other than that, it wasn't very used.
Okay.
He was sentenced to 2 years in prison, followed by 2 years of extended supervision for each of the 2 counts of stalking, 6 years in prison and 5 years supervision for hiding a corpse, and then life in prison for homicide. Now you think that was bad? The next parent's downfall was so satisfying that you won't be able to look away.
To me, being locked in a room, it's dehumanizing. It's almost as bad as that.
Tim and Tracy Ferreter thought they could get away with locking their own son in a box like an animal. Now in handcuffs and facing justice, they're finally realizing the horror that they put him through.
Did you like being in that room?
No.
Did you want to be in the room?
No.
How did it make you feel?
To me, being locked in a room, it's dehumanizing. It's almost as bad as it's saddening to abuse a child that was just acting like a child, never thinking of what an adult would think to do to a child that would succumb his or her efforts in daily life to succeed, suffering from emotional pain, suffering, trauma.
The Ferreters wasted no time building a prison for their own son, but once they were caught, they rushed to destroy the evidence after 12 days.
Were there instances where the defendant, in this case, Tim Ferreter, acted towards you in a way that was physically aggressive?
Repeat the question.
Was there ever any physical aggression towards you in Florida?
There was instances of grabbing and pushing, but otherwise, no.
Okay.
Physical contact such as punching, hitting, smacking.
Right, none of that happened during the time frame in Florida?
No.
Were there times where he was verbally aggressive to you in Florida?
Yes.
Their own child trapped in a homemade prison, left to suffer at the hands of those that were meant to protect him. The Ferreters didn't just fail as parents. In fact, they became his captors.
Do you think it's hard to think of good memories when everyone around you has a bad image of Tim and Tracy in their mind?
I can easily recall the good times, but I don't have a bad image of Tim and Tracy. They just made a mistake. They just acting out of frantic surprise of my actions. They weren't. I believe that they weren't trying to do any harm. Yeah. I believe that people should recognize that was a mistake and forgive them and move on.
I appreciate that.
Ferreter's lawyer tried to downplay the horror, but no amount of excuses can justify locking a child in a box like a prisoner.
So the court, I'm going to adjudicate the defendant in accordance with the verdict, guilty of the charge of aggravated child abuse, guilty of the charge of false imprisonment, and guilty of neglect. At this time, I'm going to remand the defendant to the custody of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Department. That's without prejudice for you to file any type of motion that you deem appropriate, Ms. Murad, for pretrial release or release during pending appeal. This ruling today is without prejudice for me to receive that and consider that at the appropriate time. Let me get an idea as to what the state is looking for in terms of a sentencing hearing.
I can do it as soon as the defense can be ready. He is entitled to a PSI. I don't know what the defense's position is as to that.
I will waive PSI, Your Honor. This is a sentencing that I should be able to get done relatively quickly. Should the court have time in 2 or 3 weeks?
I'll make whatever time that I have to expedite sentencing if that's what both sides request.
Timothy Ferreter's cruelty finally caught up to him. He was found guilty of child neglect, false imprisonment, and aggravated abuse. Now he is facing 30 years behind bars, exactly where he belongs. And if this wasn't shocking enough, wait until you see how this next father completely destroys his father-son bond.
I don't know why you're here, because my son just...
Because you're an alcoholic.
No, you're a...
Fathers are meant to love and protect their children, but today we are looking at some of the most shocking cases where evil fathers were caught in the act, forcing police to step in and take them away. Just like this irate father who became a mess.
You throw me to the... Ah, my God! What the f*** did you do that for?
On July 10th, 2024, Flagler County deputies responded to a residence after a complaint about a domestic feud. As they arrived, they noticed an individual was getting out and he appeared quite flustered.
Hey, Sheriff's Office.
What?
Sheriff's Office.
What's up?
What's going on?
I have no idea.
All right, back up. You don't need to keep coming towards me.
No,
Let's go. What's going on?
I have no idea.
Huh?
I have no idea.
Why are we here?
I have no idea. Ask my son. I have no idea. I'm going
All right,
to
well,
my house.
Talk to me. What's going on, okay? Was there an argument?
No, there's no argument. No, I'm going in my house.
No, you're not. I'm telling you.
Why, you want to smash my head open like you did last time?
No,
Fuck, guys.
We're investigating a disturbance, and I'm going to talk to you out here.
Disturbance? What?
That's why we're here.
Disturbance.
We're here for a disturbance.
Explain everything to you.
Okay, explain it.
Okay. Can you come sit on the back of your vehicle?
No, I'll explain it right here.
What is there? Who'd you have an argument with?
I had no argument with nobody.
So why are we here? You don't know?
I don't know. Talk to my son.
Where's your wife at?
She's wherever. I don't know. She's not here.
This guy was extremely inebriated and couldn't even make sense of what he was saying. The officers tried to talk to him as they had figured he had caused a fight in the house earlier.
Nobody. My pitbull fucking pounds to fucking rip your head off, but that's about it.
So let me explain to you why we're here.
I don't know why you're here. Because my son just...
Because you're an alcoholic.
No, you're a dumbass.
You want me to talk to you inside?
Chris?
My dog's inside.
Well, let's come down here.
Chris?
I'm not gonna yell.
The officers immediately separated the father and the son as one of the cops went over to talk about what the son had to say about the incident earlier.
What's going on?
So him and my mom argue a lot. Like, it's common for them to argue.
Yeah.
But, according to my mom the other day, he threw her, it was like a Yeti cup.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a Yeti cup, but it's the same size, at her head. And something happened in the middle of the road, I don't know.
Okay.
And
so why are we here tonight?
Because my mom told me she was walking home because she couldn't deal with my dad. I called my dad. He's exactly like this, and he says, "I'll be home in 10 minutes." And I'm calling my mom. She's not even answering.
He smashed my head against the car.
One second.
I went to the hospital.
It is quite a shame how this alcoholic father was abusing his wife right in front of his grown-up son, setting the worst possible example while tormenting them both.
You and your little cheesy mustache, get out of my face.
Okay. Do you want me to explain to you why we're here, or do you want to keep talking over me?
No, I have no idea, because my son's a piece of shit that I do everything in the world for him, but he thinks the cops will solve everything. And my brother was a MTA cop for 27 years, and he would never treat people like you guys do, Flagler. I went inside. I don't know what the fuck my son's doing. He just called the cops for no reason.
Can you stay off your phone and talk to us so we can...
No, I'm not going to talk to you at all.
Okay, well then I'm going to put you in handcuffs because right when
For what?
Let me explain to you. Since you know everything, let me tell you. Right when I walked up here, you made threats of self-harm to me. Okay?
I didn't make threats at you at all.
It's on
That's
camera.
what you guys Flagler make up.
You did. And you're intoxicated right now, and you're on probation. You can't drink alcohol. So put your hands behind your back real quick.
It didn't take long for the cops to make their decision to arrest him. Behavior kept worsening, but this unhinged father wasn't going down without a fight.
Dude. Oh my God, I didn't do nothing. Look, oh my God. Thanks, Chris.
Put your hands behind your back. Do it now.
I didn't do nothing.
You're going to go to jail for resisting if you don't put your hands behind your back right now.
I didn't do anything.
Put your hand behind your back or you're going to get charged with resisting.
Dude. I didn't do anything.
Put your hands behind your back or you're going to get charged with resisting. Last time...
I can't. You're sitting on my chest. I can't put my arm behind my back. Oh my God. Chris, you're a shit. When you pick me up,
I'm not picking you up. You could stand up.
No, I can't. Chris, you're a piece.
Slide this leg under.
Chris, you're a piece of shit, mother.
Slide this leg under you so you can stand up.
I can't.
If you slide it under
I'm trying.
You can stand.
Pick me up. Fuck. God damn it. Chris, you're a piece of... Dude, what the...
Imagine being so selfish and self-absorbed that you end up abusing your own son in the worst way possible. As the officers dragged him to the police cruiser, the situation took an even more dramatic turn.
I do everything for you. Oh my God. Oh my God, you guys are beating me. Beating me.
Stand up.
Oh my God, you're beating me.
Stand up.
Oh my God, you're beating me. Oh my God.
Stand up. You're acting like a child. Stand up.
No, you're not. You're a cunt.
You just dropped to the ground. Stand up.
You're a whole shit.
Stand up.
Like
What's
his name? Pat, what are you doing, man?
I don't know. They're piece of shit. You threw me into the ground. You're a whole...
Stand up.
Your son, Chris. Oh my God.
Stand up.
You could just walk.
You harassing me.
You just
Stand
said
up.
that you want to be picked
Stand up.
Do you want to be picked up or do you want to...
I don't want nothing
Stand up.
from you.
Come on. Stand up.
This bizarre behavior was so out of line, and it just shows how devastating alcohol can be for you. Eventually, the cops decided to drag him toward their car, humiliating him.
No, I don't want to do nothing. I didn't do anything wrong.
Idea. Let's go.
I didn't do anything.
Kick me. I just would.
Look, I show you.
Is he kicking you? You're going to get dropped on your face if you keep wiggling. Stop.
The cops, you're killing me.
No,
you're
this one's
fucking killing me. I didn't do anything wrong. Oh my God, I didn't do anything wrong. I did not do anything wrong.
So then get up.
Why are you handcuffing me? I didn't do anything wrong.
Stand up and I will tell you.
I did not do anything wrong.
Stand up and I will tell you.
I can't do that when you toes. You piece of shit.
That's nice.
I didn't do anything wrong. I did not do anything. Hold on.
After more struggle, the officers finally searched him, secured him in the cruiser, and prepared to transport him to the hospital for an evaluation.
Actually, Dylan, you can't switch me that way.
7 years old. Here. That's it.
Oh my God! Ah!
That's it.
I'm trying. So, you're a little piece of fuck. It's been stick.
Okay.
Oh my God, stop slamming my head against the car. Oh my God, I'm gonna kill that fuck. Oh my God.
I wrapped up with him and he dropped to the ground himself.
Yeah, because you're a piece of shit and you fault people.
What?
That's all you know.
The ride to the hospital was just as chaotic, with the irate father cussing and rambling nonsense the entire way. After a quick hospital visit, he wasn't done yet. He had more outrageous antics to put on display.
Chris, you're a piece of Camera? You throw me to the... Ah, my God! You fucker! What the is that for?
Pat. Pat, this is going to be really embarrassing later on camera when you go to watch this.
Oh my God, you threw me to the ground. Oh my God, you threw me to the ground.
All right.
Ah!
You going to get up or we have to carry you again?
Oh my God, you threw me to the ground.
It's on camera.
I know it's on camera, you threw me to the ground.
Do you want to get up or are we going to carry you again?
I don't give what you do. He threw me to the ground, so I can't.
Yeah, you threw me to the ground.
Yeah, you're a little... You little...
Now, you've got to give massive credit to the police officers for handling lunatics like him. They eventually pick him up once again, and this time take him to the police station in order to be booked.
He's like, you want to know what's on camera? He's like, you throw him, and he dives.
Oh, it's on camera.
All right, let's sit up.
Oh, it's on camera. You fuck.
He's not gonna let it. He did this at the house.
Oh
He did
my
the same
God,
thing at the
he's
house.
ridden me out.
Let's just sit him up and get him up. All right, let's roll this way, okay?
Oh my God, you fuck. Oh my God, you guys. My God, these cuffs are, my God. My God, these are so bad. Oh my God, you guys are beating me. Oh my God, my cuffs are so bad. Oh my God,
Thanks,
I did nothing wrong.
He was eventually charged with uttering threats to law enforcement and resisting arrest. The officers could have tacked on even more charges, but they cut him a break. Hopefully, this serves as a wake-up call for him, because he might not be so lucky next time. Now, if you think this father was the worst, you won't believe how this next father neglected his 5 children.
We see fecal matter at several different stages of decomposition throughout the residence. I smell a lot of things every day in law enforcement. That's one of the worst smelling things I've ever smelled walking into a house.
On September 27, 2024, deputies from the Flagler County Sheriff's Office dispatched to the residence of 39-year-old Nicholas Carter after a neighbor complained about his 2-year-old son roaming around in the street.
We're gonna call about a kid walking around in the road or something or other.
Must have been my son.
Where's he at?
A couple minutes. He's inside.
I see him?
Yep.
Is there a reason he's walking around unattended?
No, he had gotten outside. I was letting the garage door air out. He woke up and walked out, and that's where I had initially found him to bring him back in.
Is there child locks in the garage, or?
Not on the door that goes out. No, I have the child locks basically on this one, so they can't make it outside from this one.
How many kids are in the house?
So that was legit just my bad for not realizing he had woken up, and he looks out there for me because I usually hang out in the garage.
How many kids are in the house?
5.
5? Are they all yours?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it just you that watches them?
No, it's me and whoever's home for me, my roommate, and Mama.
This wasn't the first time cops had arrived at his house for a case of child neglect, and they were well aware of how careless a father Nicholas was. As they started to look around the house, they found something even more disturbing.
We got a call. Someone saw him walking around.
It's probably the same exact time as I found him to bring him in.
Do you have any, what's your name?
Nicholas Carter? I was just sitting there thinking, I was like, I hope nobody saw you out here, bud, because you don't get me in trouble.
I see you got some stuff laying about on the ground. You mind if I look inside there and make sure it's all good for the kids?
Yeah, I mean, it might be a little dirty at the moment, but just the basic noise. Turn 8, that's right.
What is that, looks like there's a liquid on the ground. Is that dog urine?
Looks like water.
Water?
Yeah, because I got a water bottle right there.
What about all the way down there? It's little sticky, wet looking stuff. Is that water too?
That might be from her, it might be oil.
Upon first glance, the deputies found the house extremely filthy, and as they looked closer, the situation only worsened.
How old are they?
We go from 2 all the way up to 16.
2 to 16?
2, 4, 8, 4, or 15, and 16.
Okay. Where's the the mother of the kids at?
Work right now.
Work? Oh, but she lives here too?
Yes.
They're all related to you by blood?
No, only 2 technically.
3 are stepchildren?
So 3 would technically be stepchildren.
And 2 are related to you?
2 of them have my last name, so I'm on the birth certificate as the father.
And where was he when you came out here?
Walking his way from like right here. So, I mean, I don't doubt that he went out there, but
he almost got into a stranger's car.
Yeah, he opens the garage door, no problem.
No. He attempted to get into a stranger's car.
Stranger's car?
Yeah, they called. They called about a 2-year-old trying to get in their vehicle. So had that not been a concerned citizen, and had that been some pedo up the street,
yeah.
And so would that kid. Can he swim?
He hasn't been taught yet.
Okay.
The poor 2-year-old was wandering around the streets and nearly got into another car. It is criminal for a parent to be this neglectful in this day and age.
That's the one I got for little man, and we're on a booster seat for Laura.
Okay, that works. Now you have 2 younger than 5, right?
Yeah.
A
booster seat for the other one.
A booster seat? Okay.
Booster.
So you got pocket knives. Do you mind if we take them out of your pocket?
If you want to.
Just because I don't want you to be mad at me. You know what I mean?
Back pocket.
Yeah?
No, back pocket right here. If that's the case.
No guns. Are there guns in the house?
Not a gun, it's just
I'm asking, are there any guns in the house?
Shortly after, the deputies went over to take a complete tour of his home and were appalled to see what they had found. The house reeked of feces and urine, and garbage was thrown out in every room. Dirty dishes and rotten food cans littered the kitchen.
Hey, they're still here.
You mind if I talk to you alone real quick, boss? What's your name?
My name's Aaron.
Aaron?
Yes, sir.
Aaron what?
Aaron Total Flame. It's a hyphenated last name.
You wouldn't have your ID in your pocket. How often are you guys cleaning up the house?
It gets cleaned and then it gets thrashed, but I've done my fair.
Well, I'm asking, not you specifically, but how often is the house cleaned up? Because looking at this house, it hasn't been cleaned up in at least 2 or 3 days. Being generous.
Being generous. Usually it gets to that point, but it was supposed to be, to my knowledge, because I was not supposed to be home today, I was supposed to be at work. But
The deputies were disgusted and decided to question Carter's roommate about the deplorable condition of the home.
The cat is the girl's, the dog's is his.
Okay.
So.
And there's fecal matter and urine scattered about the house. And that's cleaned up every 2 to 3 days?
Usually when we see that, it's supposed to be picked up. So if there was any done today, that shouldn't have been done today. But as soon as I see them, I'll pick it up and I walk through.
Outside looking in, how would you describe the living conditions here? If you were to just walk into this house, just like we did, never having been here before, seeing urine, fecal matter, roaches, food on the ground, oils, weird smells, kids with cavities, kids wandering about, how would you describe those living conditions? As a reasonable, prudent person.
Frowned upon?
It wouldn't, not too well, right?
Not really.
Why are the kids living in these conditions?
If I had a straight answer to why there is not a dynamic, I would, but I don't.
To make matters worse, no sleeping arrangements were in any of the rooms, and only a few blankets were thrown down on the floor. When Carter came out again, deputies did not hold back, making it clear just how severe his neglect was.
outside looking in, having never been here before, if this were you coming to this house for the first time, you know, having seen fecal matter, urine.
Yeah, I know it don't look.
I'm not done talking.
Okay.
Fecal matter, urine, roaches, discarded food on the ground, garbage, all these inanimate objects that could be hurtful, odors and oils and all this stuff. Outside looking in, how would you describe those living conditions?
Right now, I'm looking a little dirty.
A little dirty. That's a little dirty is you spilled some coffee on the rug. That's more than a little dirty. You opened up that door, flies literally came out of that laundry room door.
It's an opinionated thing as far as that would go. On what you would consider dirty, what you wouldn't consider.
What would you consider?
Multiple piles of fecal matter.
I get the fecal matter,
and not only the multiple piles in multiple locations.
As far as that goes.
The worst part was that Carter didn't see any problem with the conditions that he and his 5 children lived in. He continued to argue with the deputies, who were stunned to see his entitlement.
Be that as it may, the bathroom, the master bedroom where you say the kids sleep and you sleep with your girlfriend or whatever it is, right? There's fecal matter in the closet there too.
There's fecal matter on hers that hasn't been cleaned up yet today.
And there's no doors on that.
There's no doors, and there's flies.
Also fecal matter in the open living room area where the kids would wander around and be around.
Playroom. That's the ones from today that just haven't been cleaned up yet.
Why do they not go outside?
The dog does go outside. It's usually, those are the piles that end up prior to waking up.
The point being...
Prior to waking up, it's 7:30.
Yes.
Did you work today?
No, I told you I didn't work today. Okay. I had a bunch of running around to do.
Whatever, like we go to the house all the time. We understand dogs will be dogs, right? But we see fecal matter at several different stages of decomposition throughout the residence, which is disgusting. We see flies all about the residence. I walk in the house, as soon as I walk in, I'm smacked in the face by odors I can't describe. Now, I smell a lot of things every day in law enforcement. That's one of the worst smelling things I've ever smelled walking into a house. I'm telling you, from my training and experience in law enforcement, and I smell dead bodies, that comes pretty close to a dead body. I'm not kidding.
As the officer described the scene, the situation grew even more disturbing. Apart from the house, the garage had exposed wiring, a BB gun, and marijuana lying around, yet Carter claimed it was his 2-year-old's favorite place to play.
Objects.
You have toys and ladders and tools. You have wet spots that can be slipped on. I'm slipping and sliding on with boots walking around the house.
Knives sitting on the counter.
Knives on the counter?
Yes. I saw a large butcher knife sitting right there on the counter, amongst all the others.
Should have been probably one of my teenagers leaving it up there after using it.
Additionally, look, a child just walked out of the house. You don't have door lock. You don't have child locks on the house. You don't have an alarm. You don't have cameras. You have no way to monitor or secure this residence. If you're sleeping, if a child wakes up and decides, I'm just going to go for a walk. Does that make sense? Additionally, again, I gotta drive this home. Had this child walked up to some pet, they would have taken that child, and you would have not known for at least 5 minutes, like you said. How far can you drive on Belterre in 5 minutes? You can get to 95 and he's out of the county. He's gone forever. We won't know. We know nothing.
After an investigation, the deputies realized they had to arrest Carter. With 3 underage children exposed to such horrific conditions, it was clear that child neglect and this evil father was headed to jail.
Don't tense up on me. Stop tensing. Stop tensing.
Okay, I want to know for what.
We'll explain to you.
Can I get the explanation for the cop?
No. Nope.
Why?
You just
will do crazy things.
Just like you just did.
I'm not trying to do crazy things.
You're being detained.
For?
Child neglect.
Keep working on this.
The full detaining here?
I'm sorry?
I said, what's leading to this slowly here?
What's leading to this?
Yes.
The culmination of the investigation we've conducted at this point.
I mean, it's all that it comes down to for the most part. I lost him for like a matter of couple seconds. I get that's all it takes, but it's not an easy thing to sit there and make sure you're doing everything for all of them all the time.
Next, witness this heartbreaking moment when officers were forced to arrest these alcohol-fueled parents who had completely lost their way.
You're in your driveway, you got some vomit around you, and you're passed out behind the wheel. Is this appropriate behavior for a mother?
Absolutely not.
You would never expect a parent to turn against their own children, but some parents have done the unthinkable. Today we will look at shocking cases where evil parents were exposed and sent to prison, thanks to their brave children who had enough of their cruelty. On November 10th, 2021, officers received a report regarding a lady who was found unconscious in the driver's seat of an SUV that was partially on a grass lawn and parked unevenly.
Hi.
Hello.
What's going on? You okay?
Yeah.
You don't seem okay.
Well, I'm in my driveway.
Right, you're in your driveway, you got some vomit around you, and you're passed out behind the wheel.
Let me gather myself.
Okay, you go ahead and gather yourself.
What's the problem?
You wanna come outside? Let's step out. Let's get you out of the car, okay?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
Do you live here?
Of course I live here. I own this house.
Okay.
You know where you are? What house is it? What's the number?
57.
Okay. Here, come on here.
Who called the police on me now?
Well, somebody who was concerned. I mean, you're unconscious in your car. It's kind of concerning. Back up.
Deputies showed up at the site to check on the woman and to investigate the situation further.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
What narcotics do
waking
you
up.
use?
Waking up.
What narcotics do you use?
Don't use any narcotics. I'm waking up. Actually, I'm not sure exactly what's going on.
What's going on?
I don't know.
You don't know? They said they found you slumped over in your car.
I was tired. I was up all night delivering papers and, you know.
Apparently there's a toddler in the house. I'm gonna check.
Oh, great.
You don't want to go down to the hospital?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Where's your kid at?
I'm really working.
Where's your child at?
My kids are inside.
Who's been watching them?
Their sisters have been watching.
So is there an adult inside?
There is a 14-year-old, a 13-year-old.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm trying to knock on the door. No one's answering.
Shockingly, the situation took a darker turn when deputies found children alone inside the house with no adult supervision, one of which was a toddler.
Because y'all are cops.
Can we go in? Do we have permission to go into your house? Okay, well, let me explain to you what's going on, okay?
Please do.
You are obviously unconscious at your wheel.
Sheriff's.
They open now. Come sit over here.
Okay.
Come over here.
I have been working my ass off.
Sit down on the bucket. Sit down on the bucket. Sit down. You're slumped over the wheel. You have 3 kids in the house. The toddler's in a back bedroom by himself crying, and you're out here passed out.
He's in the back bedroom.
He was.
crying.
Is this appropriate behavior for a mother?
Absolutely not, and this has never happened, not even once, sir.
Okay, so the people who have told us that this is a reoccurring thing, they're lying to us?
No, I don't know who is telling you that.
I'm not sure, but we're gonna figure this out.
It is quite obvious from the woman's slurred speech and unsteady demeanor that she is intoxicated. Yet she kept claiming that she was working all night.
Of course, because I am a good mother.
Did you use any drugs last night?
No, I haven't. I am.
Because you are not acting normal right now.
Okay, and I can explain it to you. Okay?
Go ahead.
Just listen to me out. I understand because of my record, it doesn't look good.
I didn't even look you up.
Just saying. Okay? It doesn't look good. I'm so stressed out. I don't know if I'm in a separation. I don't know which way my life is going. I am on the edge of a breakdown.
Okay. So I know you were a little confused when I asked you where your kid was a little bit ago. Do you want to know where he was exactly?
I told you where he was.
Where was he in the house?
I wasn't in the house.
Right, that's what I'm getting at. So I'm just going to tell you where he was in the house. He was hiding behind a chair in that room alone, next to this knife.
What kind of good mother abandons her kids alone in the house as she gets drunk and passes out behind the wheel of a car at 10 in the morning?
Is that normal, or does that concern you whatsoever?
Absolutely not, because I left him in the hands of my teenage girls.
Okay.
Which I thought was legal. I thought I was able to do
Listen,
that.
if your girls are capable of looking after him, that's fine, but
Yeah.
you were unconscious with vomit all over you in the driver's seat of a car, so I'm just trying to figure out how long has it been since you checked on your kids?
How, an hour or so?
What happened between when you checked on them and you ended up in the car passed out like that?
An hour?
But what happened? What took place between you checking on them and you ending up in the car in that condition? What were you doing? What happened?
Okay, so I had left, and what was I doing? Something. I was still trying to gather my thoughts.
The woman was so drunk that she could hardly understand the officer, much less come up with a coherent response.
Okay, well, do your best to gather your thoughts. Just to be clear, these thoughts are in the last 2 hours, so it shouldn't be too hard to gather them.
No, sir, please, out of all respect, guys, you know what happened across the street.
I don't know.
My son died right across the street.
You're a what?
My son,
Okay. He what?
Logan Goodman, died
Okay.
right across the street
I'm sorry to hear
a
that.
year ago.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's been very hard coping with that.
Do you recall what happened between you checking on your kids and how you ended up in the wheel behind the wheel in the condition
I
you're in?
am getting there, sir.
Okay.
Okay? I can understand how it looks.
I'm sorry that you had to go through the things you had to go through in the past year or so, and I'm sorry for the loss of your son. Right now, my main concern, my priority, is that while you were passed out in your vehicle with vomit on you in the driver's seat, your infant child was in the back bedroom alone next to this knife hiding behind a chair.
Instead of taking responsibility for her actions, the woman deflected by bringing up her son who had passed away a year ago, seemingly trying to get the officer's sympathy.
Girls are with him now. They just got a diaper on him.
I am not under
Yeah.
the influence, but
as
in
far as anything
recovery, I have been clean.
What are you in recovery from?
January 20th, okay, I have been
Well,
in
what are you
recovery.
recovering from?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Nothing hardcore.
All right, does that have anything to do with how you ended up here this morning like that?
No.
I worked with Robert. He just needed a job.
Who's Robert? Her boyfriend, husband,
The
whatever?
guy that lives here. We haven't been able to get a hold of him, call him or nothing, so they sent me up here to see if I could wake him up or see if he was home. Or
Okay. Yeah, he's not home.
My son has been teething,
Okay.
okay? And every time that the police come around, okay, something happens to one of my children.
Where's the guy that lives here?
My husband,
Yeah.
he's at work.
No, he's not, because his work just showed up and they said they haven't heard from him.
Things took an unexpected turn when a man claiming to work with the woman's husband arrived, asking about his whereabouts. This prompted the officers to research the house, leading to an even more interesting twist.
Is he passed out here somewhere?
Am I allowed to?
We're gonna go check.
You're gonna stay here for a second.
This is my house.
Just hold on a second,
Am
Robert.
I detained?
Yes, right now you are. Yes, we're trying to figure out a lot of stuff here, so just hang out for a minute.
What am I detained for?
Sit down, please. Sit
Okay,
down.
then can I please go to the bathroom?
Sit down. We will figure that out after. Sit down.
Why were you asleep on the bathroom floor when there's a bed right there?
There's no reason. What's going on?
He's working his ass off, that's why.
What is going on?
All right, you know, Come over here, I'll explain all of it to you.
What's the real question here, officer?
We didn't just mosey on in the street and mosey on into your house and just kind of start walking around. There are things that led to this. Can you describe what some of those problems were?
Yeah, a Karen called because I fell asleep.
Despite failing to answer the officers' questions, the woman boldly challenged them again, insisting she knew exactly what was happening over the past couple of hours.
And if you went out to dinner to get a bite to eat, sometimes people have their teenagers watch their kids, that's one thing. But when you're both at home, unconscious in the way that you guys were, and the babies run around naked or hiding behind a chair naked with a knife next to them, we're past having our teenagers look after our kids, because we're talking about hours. She can't tell me what happened the last couple hours. You're telling me you've been asleep since 1, so I don't know who's been watching these kids.
I can tell you everything. Okay.
Oh, we want to try this again? We can go for round 4. What happened the last couple hours?
Yes. It is now what time? Okay, we've been under a lot of stress.
That might be the case, but obviously right at this moment, it doesn't look like you guys are.
I know. We lost our son right there.
I understand that.
Okay, have you been in that position?
No, I haven't, but regardless of the situation, you still need to care for your children. I can't
care for my children.
Can't explain that
very
enough.
much so.
Well, it seemed like the woman's idea of good parenting involves being passed out on the bathroom floor and behind the wheel while leaving her kids unattended.
Don't react to light.
No, I don't know what you want me to do.
Typically, if somebody's under the influence of narcotics,
I had a brain
do your
injury 3-4 years ago.
So has that caused your pupils to not react to light?
I have hypothyroidism too. Can I hug my son?
Can you just wait a few minutes until we figure all of this out?
You fell asleep in the trunk and I fell asleep in the bed on the toilet.
Because we've been pushing ourselves, baby. We are living across from where our son died. We need to get out of here. It's not fair that we can't get out of here. No matter how hard we try, every day I wake up and I see my dead son on the fucking pavement.
The woman once again attempted to divert the officer's attention by mentioning her brain injury, and then again, she brought up her dead son to win the officer's sympathy when he suggested she could be under the influence.
Put your hands behind your back.
Why are you arresting me, sir?
For everything that we discussed, okay?
We covered everything several times, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, but I don't know what questions you have.
Yeah, why am I being arrested?
Well, that's definitely something we already answered.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be, if you want me to be specific, it's going to be for neglect.
Neglect?
Yes. I'll put the cigarette in your mouth if you want to keep smoking it.
Yes. Robert!
We're going to go, we'll talk to him. We're going to go over here to the car.
Can I finish my cigarette, please?
Give it one more big drag.
Can I please?
Come on, this is your second cigarette. We've been here for way too long. Let's just get this over with.
We call out. I was asleep.
Hey.
With all due respect, at the end of the day, we get a call. She slumped over the steering wheel, and you're passed out in the back on the bathroom floor with a toddler running around here in an active construction site inside your house. There's broken glass. The door's unlocked, not latched. Both of you guys screwed up, and I think both of you need to just own up to it.
Robert was charged with culpable negligence of a child, while the lady, Chelsea Wright, was detained on 1 count of child maltreatment. Chelsea received a 36-month probationary sentence that included grief counseling and mandatory drug testing. Now, you thought that was bad? Wait until you hear about the next parents who took it to another extreme.
To me, being locked in a room, it's dehumanizing. It's almost as bad as genocide.
Tim Ferreter and his wife Tracy Ferreter were arrested in February 2022 and brought to the courtroom as the couple had kept their son locked inside a box in the garage, subjecting him to unimaginable conditions.
Do you like being in that room?
No.
Did you want to be in the room?
No.
How did it make you feel?
To me, being locked in a room, it's dehumanizing. It's almost as bad as genocide. It's saddening to abuse a child that was just acting like a child, never thinking of what an adult would think to do to a child that would succumb his or her efforts in daily life to succeed, suffering from emotional pain, suffering, trauma.
Investigators said the Ferreters had built the room built in their garage shortly after buying their home in late 2021. They had it demolished 12 days after their arrest.
Were there instances where the defendant, in this case, Tim Ferreter, acted towards you in a way that was physically aggressive?
Repeat the question.
Was there ever any physical aggression towards you in Florida?
There was instances of grabbing and pushing, but otherwise, no.
Okay.
Physical contact such as punching, hitting, smacking.
Right, none of that happened during the time frame in Florida?
No.
Were there times where he was verbally aggressive to you in Florida?
Yes.
The young kid was imprisoned in this improvised jail, confined in a box, subjected to mistreatment and disregard by those who were supposed to be looking out for him.
Do you think it's hard to think of good memories when everyone around you has a bad image of Tim and Tracy in their mind?
I can easily recall the good times, but I don't have a bad image of Tim and Tracy. They just made a mistake. They just acting out of frantic surprise of my actions. They weren't. I believe that they weren't trying to do any harm.
Yeah.
I believe that people should recognize that was a mistake and forgive them and move on from move on.
I appreciate that.
Ferreter's lawyers tried to minimize the gravity of the situation by characterizing his actions as those of a frustrated parent who is only trying to control his child's behavior.
You could hear the physical abuse when it was happening there. Yes. And did you in fact see an instance where he was pressed up against a wall? Yes. Okay. Were his feet on the ground when that happened? I don't remember. Okay. Did that incident scare you? Yes. What were you worried about? That he was grabbing too tight, that something worse than just hurt might have. I was worried that one day, that he might accidentally.
Overruled.
That he would accidentally kill.
In a heartbreaking turn of events, the boy's sister testified in court, revealing how on several occasions she feared that her father would brother due to the severity of the abuse.
All right, does either side wish to have the jury polled? All right, so ladies and gentlemen, there's been a request to have the jury polled, and that simply means that each of you will be asked the question of whether the verdict is your verdict or not. If it is, you should only answer yes. If it is not, of course, you should answer no and nothing further. So, Madam Clerk, at this time, if you could please poll the jury.
Juror 1, were the verdicts as read your verdict? Juror 2, were the verdicts as read your verdicts? Juror 3, were the verdicts as read your verdicts? Juror 4, were the verdicts as read your verdicts? Juror 5, were the verdicts as read your verdicts? Juror 6, were the verdicts as read your verdicts?
In a powerful conclusion to the case, the jury found Timothy Ferreter guilty of locking his son inside a makeshift room in the garage and subjecting him to severe abuse.
The court, I'm going to adjudicate the defendant in accordance with the verdict, guilty of the charge of aggravated child abuse, guilty of the charge of false imprisonment, and guilty of neglect. At this time, I'm going to remand the defendant to the custody of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Department. That's without prejudice for you to file any type of motion that you deem appropriate, Ms. Murad, for pretrial release or release during pending appeal. This ruling today is without prejudice for me to receive that and consider that at the appropriate time. Let me get an idea as to what the state is looking for in terms of a sentencing hearing.
I can do it as soon as the defense can be ready. He is entitled to a PSI. I don't know what the defense's position is as to that.
I will waive PSI, Your Honor. This is a sentencing that I should be able to get done relatively quickly, should the court have time in 2 or 3 weeks.
I'll make whatever time that I have to expedite sentencing if that's what both sides request.
Timothy Ferreter was found guilty of several serious offenses, such as child negligence, false imprisonment, and aggravated child abuse. He was charged with 30 years in prison. Well, that brings us to the end of this video. Today we saw how some kids, in heartbreaking circumstances, are forced to take matters into their own hands, ultimately sending their evil parents to prison. These stories highlight the terrifying abuse and manipulation that can come from those who are supposed to care for and protect their children. It is a grim reminder that sometimes the children suffer the most at the hands of those meant to love them. If you agree with me, please support us by liking this video. Also, if you enjoyed this video, watch how these corrupt cops were caught doing the unthinkable.
We're about to play a game of manhunt. I'm going to give you a 20-minute head start, and if I see you again, you're going to jail.
Oh, Sam!